Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.
Where you came in today, Ken. And the winner is, he had 13:37.64. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for Mr. Ken.
Hey guys, look who I got sitting next to me, Mr. Ma. He's one of the top Delta fishermen, and you just won that big one, didn't you?
Yeah, won the Western Bass Shootout a little over 2 weeks ago.
You had some serious competition?
Yeah, you know, the top 50 anglers have to qualify all year, the year prior. They get an invitation, so you just can't sign up for that tournament.
Otherwise, I would have.
Well, if you would have, you probably would have won.
But yeah, it's the top 50 guys.
Yeah, top 50 guys. They come from 4 different tours. One Bass, Major League Fishing, Wild West Pro-Ams, and the Apex Pro Tour.
Ken, when you heard your name announced as the winner, the top angler of the whole entire West, what went through your head?
You know, the first thing was my dad was in the audience. You just, you have those moments in life that you're just like, wow, that really happened. You know, I actually won the biggest tournament in the Western United States, and my dad was there, you know, and on a body of water that he took me to when I was as young as 5 years old. God, I'm going to try to hold it together because my dad's here.
Go, buddy, good.
Win or lose, I'm standing here because of him. Because he took me fishing. I did. I have memories fishing with my dad and my brother when I was 5.
You were very emotional. You were crying like a baby.
Oh, dude, I'm a softie. I'm such a softie.
But you were a police officer. You said you were supposed to be tough.
Yeah, but you know, I think, like I said, when you work that hard, and then your family's there, you know, your friends are there, you know, yeah. I mean, you know, like him, you know, we have fished together. You know, I fished twice a week with my buddy Mason, and you know, and he was there, and you know, my wife was there, and my brother, and I mean, it's just to have that type of event where the best anglers had to qualify, and then for it to be on a place where I had those memories with my dad was truly special. So
it was a big accomplishment, you know, to go out, and you had some terrible weather too, didn't you?
yeah, you know, I mean, you know how bad the conditions have been, and you know, it's funny because I think what I think about after winning an event like that, I think about you never stop learning.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know everything.
Nope.
And when you think you know everything, then you're probably
You're
around,
humbled.
you're probably around the wrong people, right? Yeah. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're not in the right room.
I've been fishing all my life down here, and I learn something all the time.
Yeah.
You never stop learning. Never.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my theme today. You know, for me, I've been fishing here since I have memories fishing with my dad when I was 5. You know, I didn't start tournament fishing until I was 19. You know, so that was about 30-ish years ago. And, you know, I've always learned, I've said this before, I've always learned from Alan. And I was just a green young kid then. And then for years, you know, once I started learning the Delta and figuring out things, you know, we've been friends forever. And you used to always tell me, like, hey, you know, we can go fishing. It's okay to go fishing together.
A lot of times, you know, Ken would ask, and, you know, I'd just tell him, hey, it's on a blade bite. That's totally different. You know, I always offered to take you on the water and show you. But I don't know if you were just kind of shy or bashful or what. But this year, when the water temperature dropped in the 40s, and I was posting all these nice fish, he goes, hey, take me. Oh, yeah, well, it took that to get you to ask me.
You know what was crazy is early in the year, I think, I don't know if you remember or you don't remember, but early in the year this year, it was the Delta.
It's tough.
It's still fishing unlike anything that I've seen up till now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's really starting to become what
was
it normally is. Yeah. So it was really tough, and to me, so that's the theme. That's what I would want to tell your viewers is, don't think that you know everything. Don't think that what you did yesterday is going to work tomorrow. I think that's a big part of it too. But you get into these ruts and you get into these ideas, and when you fish with other people, it really broadens your mind a lot more than you would when you're just doing what you think is going to catch fish.
You can learn so much from being with someone rather than them telling you. Just being on the water, when we went, I know you could fish, but if you just knew how I was approaching these fish and stuff,
Right.
It's going to be a heyday. And it sure was. So I'm proud of this guy. He's a good stick.
Like, next to Lake Mead, I think the Delta is one of the most challenging bodies of water to put 3 consecutive days together. So when you add that into that whole emotional roller coaster, and did I catch enough? Did I do enough? Did I prepare enough? Did I make all the right decisions? Right? Because in the end, it doesn't matter. You still got to make the right decisions, and you got to execute flawlessly to win. That's what it takes to win at that level.
You have to trust your gut. If you think you need to do this, you need to change and do it. And people that can fish, they have that natural ability. You can teach someone to fish, but if you got that natural ability, you're gonna be a step ahead of everybody.
What did you do differently on that last day when the conditions changed so much?
I did exactly what Alan said. I went into my primary area, and the water had muddied up because the wind was blowing a sustained 20 all day. And I pulled in there. I looked at the water. It was dark and muddy. I made 2 casts, and I told my observer, I'm like, this ain't happening. This ain't it. I got to go do something else. And I think the biggest thing is that, like what Alan said, you trust your gut, but you also have to trust yourself in the moment that you're going to go over there or over here and catch those fish. The younger version of me would have forced those fish, and I would not have caught the weight that I caught on the last day.
Can you also share with us, because a lot of people have this idea that if you're a young professional angler, your daddy gave you a boat, and you're just kind of living off your trust fund. And we've had
people think that about me.
And then we've had some time to spend together. And you're just not a regular guy, but you had a full career not related to fishing. It's not like you were a guide and you're also doing this on the side as becoming a tournament angler. I mean, how did you juggle those 2 lives? And you have wives and kids, a wife and kids, and how did you juggle? I won't tell about
I
that
got
other
2,
one.
buddy.
How did you find the time and maintain your passion and commitment for fishing?
I think the biggest thing is if you love to do something, whatever that is, they always say, if you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like you're working a single day of your life. But yeah, I had a full-time job. I worked for the state of California for almost 30 years, but I took every opportunity. I used to fish in my younger days when I was working swing shift. I used to fish 180 to 200 days a year. So it takes that type of passion and that type of commitment to do that. Like I commend Alan. I mean, I don't want to tell you guys how old he is.
But I still go.
But he fishes and hunts, literally, he fishes and hunts 4 to 5 days a week.
Yep, I live for it.
Right? And you don't, that's not a job. That's not something that's not casual.
I don't have to do it.
Right. It's not casual
I just love
to him, right? That's what he's passionate about. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to do. So he gets up every morning and he does it. And I'm the same way with bass fishing. I don't hunt, and I can't catch all the species that he catches, right? I mean, I'm a kind of a one-trick pony. I catch green ones, brown ones, and spotted bass, right? That's what I'm into. So if you took me out trolling for stripers, I'd be lost. But yeah, it takes that type of commitment and that type of passion that I always say this is, if the weather's bad, if it's raining, if it's cold, and you're still willing to get up and go do something by yourself, and haul your boat out and fish for 8 or 10 hours by yourself, then you're passionate about something.
Yeah, and people probably don't realize about Alan. They think he knows all this information from working in a tackle shop, but I can attest myself.
No.
I mean, we'll go out 2, 3. I mean, when he was working, 4 days a week, he'd go out the other 3 days fishing. And I'm talking getting up at 3:30, coming home at 5, putting in a full day. We've been in hail. We've been in 120-degree heat. And one thing about Alan, that's right. And you're the same way, Ken, I'm sure. Alan catches a lot of fish because he never stops casting.
Right.
He just never stops. He's always on the motor, always looking for the
Nope,
next fish.
I don't eat lunch.
I like to eat lunch.
He eats. I don't
Me and my
stop.
buddy Mason will stop and like set the table.
Do you guys know when you hook a fish what size it is?
Pretty much, you could tell, when you've been doing this all your life, set the hook, you know when it's a good one.
Yeah, I would say
But sometimes
they
I
fool
get
you.
fooled.
Sometimes they fool you. You hook them on the side, but yeah, most
Yep.
of the time
I had to have me today.
Yeah, the big ones act different.
Yeah,
Big ones act different.
They tug differently.
And is there a favorite old school lure that you continually use even with all the new advances in technology?
Yeah, I know. Easy for me. A rattle trap. I've been throwing a rattle trap since I was like 8 years old.
Yeah, he's the guy that, he's not a finesse guy. He's not a single guy. I can contest to that. This guy here, I told Mason, you go with him today, you go inside, put the power post down. Because that's the only way you're going to get him to slow down. That's just his style of fishing. And it's very effective. A lot of the power fishermen like Leroy Bertolero, you either have a heyday, you come in with some
That's
big
what happens.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either feast or phantom,
Yeah.
or nothing.
What's your favorite old school lure, Alan?
I use everything. But I like the flip, but I use everything.
But do you have one that you've consistently used throughout the decades? I know what it is.
I like to use brushhog.
And when you guys plan your day, does barometric pressure, do you give any thought to it and how you're going to fish and if you're going to go out and fish?
I used to, but I don't do it no more because all it does is play to your mind. But, it's always in my mind when something like that happens. Because early in the year, like I was telling my viewers, when I'm fishing, when the water temperature was in the 40s, these bass I'm catching, they're not Florida strain, they're northern bass. And they're more hardier, and they'll feed in 47 or higher water temps.
I do look at barometric pressure. What I like to do is when I get off the water, I'll always look at the tide chart, and I will look at the barometric pressure, and I'll see if there's any correlations between when the bite windows are and that pressure. So I don't plan my day ahead of time based on that, but afterwards I want to see if there's any correlations.
So usually on the tides, before I go fishing, I look at the tides and it basically tells me where I want to go.
And Ken, you had mentioned before, and we did some shorts on reel speeds and gear ratios, and we got some comments and like, why don't you just slow down? Just have the same one, have a high speed reel, and just slow down. Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. The issue, what happens, human nature, what happens when you are not catching fish, right? All of us, you have a tendency to speed up.
Yeah,
you just have a tendency to speed up. You don't even realize you're speeding up. So when the bite's tough and you have a faster reel and you're subconsciously reeling faster, I give you a perfect example today. Like Mason and I went out and absolutely smashed them today, right? They were biting today.
Yeah.
And early on, he was throwing a vibrating jig, and he was kind of just reeling it pretty steadily, right? And then he changed the color, and he adjusted. We talked, and I go, hey, I think you need to reel it really, really slow still. Well, as soon as he changed to reeling it where it was just ticking the grass, and he wasn't ripping it out of the grass, he ended up catching like 7 or 8 of them like right after that change. So to me, reel speed, reel ratio is ultra critical. I fish all 3 reel speeds, and I stand by that. So there's 6 2 to 1, 7 1 to 1, and then even the 8 4 to 1 stuff. which I know Alan doesn't like the 8 stuff.
No, mine are mostly 5.2s and the 6s. And I've always seen I think it's best to have your gear ratio right, but your rod needs to have the feel too, because a lot of times when you hit that grass and you click it, you speed up a little bit and you slow down a little bit just to get that to where your bait's going over the top of the grass.
Right, and sometimes they want it different. Sometimes they want that bait when it hits the grass, they want it ripped out of there really hard. And other times they want it where you're just hitting it and it just kind of fluttering off of there.
Yep.
So, every day is different, but like today, there was definitely a difference. As soon as he slowed his cadence down, he started catching fish.
Yeah.
You're on desert island, you got one rod and one reel.
Easy.
And one type of line and one lure. What are you going to bring?
Super easy for me. It's a flipping stick. If I had to pick a line and the whole bit, it would be a flipping stick with probably, I would say, 60 to 70 pound braid, and it could be anything from a flipping jig all the way to a punching rig. So I mean, that to me is just the most versatile thing and the thing I have the most confidence in.
What about you, Alan?
Yeah, down here in Delta, it'd be definitely a flipping stick, and I'd have me a brush hog on it. I catch so many fish on that thing.
Safe to say your favorite technique is flipping and pitching?
Down here.
For me, 100%. No, it's not even close. I mean,
Why is that though? Is because you like the results, or it's something that you're familiar with, or you get the biggest fish that way?
All of that, I think. I mean, I'm just addicted to making that presentation and watching my line. And when my line jumps or ticks or does something different, it's an addiction to me. But I like square billing too. Square billing is probably a really close second.
Yes, I don't throw a whole lot of crankbaits. I do, more spinner baits and chatterbaits, that type of bait. But the flipping stick is a go-to. Like what we were doing today, I told her that if you don't get it, you flip it in, you can't flip, 2 feet out from the edge, pitch it into the brush and then let it down. Mm-hmm. And as soon as she did,
right, it changed. Right.
She started catching them.
Yep.
See, so it's just how you present that bait to those fish.
Well, there's a lot of technique, and you can't be haphazard with it.
No.
There's sometimes it's something really specific.
Yeah, but if you really sat down and think about it, like I always tell these guys when we're out heading out in the morning, some of the things that helps me know what's going on. But those fish, a lot of times, when they're sitting at the bank, they're not looking out at you in the boat. They're looking toward the bank.
Right.
Where the crawdads coming out.
Are coming out and all the
So you got to put it in hella close.
So when you're flipping, do you change your weights out, or do you have a lot of different rods with different weights on, or you just stick with one weight the whole day?
No, I'll have, like on any given day, I literally might have 4 or 5 flipping sticks on the deck of my boat. So, something might have a 1/2 ounce jig on it. I might have a brush hog on it, especially this year. I might have a 1 ounce, 1.25 ounces.
Yeah.
I might even have 1.5 ounces on. So for me, it's multiple of the same rod with either a different weight or a different bait.
Yep. I usually take only 2 because I could pretty much dial it with 2. But even when I was taking him out, we were out fishing, that's what he would ask me, how much weight you got on the end of that stick?
What's important?
No, it is important.
Yeah,
but some people might not think it makes any difference, but it does make a difference. So those are the kind of things I'm telling her, about this channel that, I want to teach people and help them out and be able to become better anglers.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for the viewers is when you've had previous success, you want to automatically default. Yeah, you want to automatically default
everything else
to that previous success, and I think that's one of the hardest things to get out of your mind. So, we did the Yamamoto big bass, and we've done.
I know, but the Yamamoto one, this guy he can't throw a single.
I gotta put a weight on it.
We need to do something. We need to do something different. But no, it's I'm glad that the Delta was so tough that he finally asked me, because it made me feel good, because I don't know why he was really avoiding me. We're good friends, and he'd done a lot of stuff for me, and I knew I could help him. When you're fishing the Bassmasters,
Yeah.
You are always in the top 5 or 6 the first 2 days, and then, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, if the guy would have went with me, I could have shown him. But I'm glad, things worked out this way. There's always stuff happens for a reason. And, until, when you go out with someone and you actually see, because you were struggling down here so bad. Everybody was. Your top Delta rats weren't catching anything.
Yeah, I mean, March, when we went out back in early March, I mean, it was
It's tough.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
So it took that to get this guy to say, hey, Alan, take me, help me. I said, okay, about time. So, but it turned out great, and I told him, hey, let's fish some charity events that's coming up. Let's go do it and have fun.
Yeah.
We fish good together. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like. Please subscribe because it'll definitely help the channel out a lot.
Am I pointing to the right side?
Yeah. And if you leave a comment, even if you want to go on there and leave a comment for Ken, you can do it. He'll answer you because he's always watching. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Ken.
Yep.
Hope you win the next one. We'll be rooting for you.
I'll be ready.
Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.